Hello and welcome to round 5 of the Super Sunday series. I'm Randy Bueller, joined by Nate Price. We are getting ready to watch Michael Bonde, who has a Constellation deck, really, in my mind, a Palace Siege deck. Facing against him, Luis Salvatto with red-white midrange. Sorry, Frontier Siege. I keep getting the sieges confused.
It's okay.
Frontier Siege.
Salvatto's playing one of the other really big decks in the tournament, that red-white midrange deck that we've seen. Interestingly enough, he's not playing the Outpost Siege. He's playing them in the board, and has got Chandra Pyromasters in the main deck as his source of mana, or his source of card advantage. For
a couple of Valorous Stances are Salvatto's main Fate Reforged card.
Yep, I believe
so he did not put any monks in the deck. Stuck with kind of the red-white, looks like the Sam Party list maybe. Yeah. Rabble Masters, Brimaz, Ash Cloud, Stormbreath.
Yep. Fairly standard from Seekers all the way up to Stormbreath. So
here's Seeker followed by Hordling Outburst. That's kind of the way you draw it up.
Yep, it's a nice big attack, and I mean Bonde does have Courser of Krufix to play
he plays defense rather than. I guess a double block would kill the Seeker. So
yeah.
Oh, by the way, he also has Stoke the Flames. All the more reason to play defense. And there is the Frontier Siege on top of Bonde's library.
Unfortunately, it looks like he doesn't have a third land, so that Commune the Wild's doing a whole lot of work. That's one of the other cool things about Frontier Siege is, I mean, it's an enchantment that lets you trigger all of your sweet Constellation stuff, and looks like he is going to use that Commune to start snagging that. That's going to be really helpful for him to get back in ahead in a situation where he's a little bit land light, looks like. All right, making that decision still. Okay.
And second Mystic, but no third land.
Yeah.
So he'll have the 4 mana, but only if both those elves survive. Wow. Yeah, here is Chandra, good old-fashioned Chandra.
Yep.
Kills an Elvish Mystic, triggers up a Seeker, crunch, take 6, and have only 3 mana. Land? No. Planeswalker. So Bonde just picks him up, yeah. Red-white does what it does.
Yep.
It's a good deck.
I'm a big fan of, like, it's anytime that you get those longer late range or late game decks, if you have the ability to get in underneath them and just pounce on them before they have the ability to step up, your ability to capitalize on opponents' mistakes and missteps like this is very high. Looks like we're going to look in on Calvin Kim versus John Boutine.
All right, so blue-white control with a Perilous Vault in play, looks like.
I believe it's
And is that a dig through time resolving? That is a dig through time resolving. That's got to be good for Calvin Kim. I've seen enough standard to know that.
Boutine's got, looks like a lot of lands in play, and Soulfire Grand Master hanging out in his graveyard along with his Rabble Master. So,
yeah, he went 4 Monastery Mentor, 4 Soulfire Grand Master, and a couple Valorous Stance. Okay. So his deck list starts with 10 Fate Reforged cards.
He's also got Alicia
wow.
who smiles at death.
2 more.
So, yeah.
14 total.
Alicia has a lot of very, very tasty targets in this deck.
There seem to be a lot of options for the red-white deck.
There definitely are. They printed a lot. The problem is that a lot of them occupy the same spot in the curve. Like you have this massive glut at your 3-drop slot, so you really have a lot of choices about which direction you want to go. And depending on how many creatures you've got or how many actually spells you've got, that's really where the Soulfire Grandmaster comes into play. Because if you've got a lot of those spells that are going to turn around and be burn spells, very similar to like the Sean McLaren's Jeskai deck from the top 8 of Pro Tour Contour gear, which was definitely more of a spell-based control deck than the aggressive version of the deck. It becomes bigger. Although I'll admit, cards like Alicia, while they're very, very good, Perilous Vault's very good against them.
Yeah, and that's God's Willing just for the Scry. It was not a particularly... So it's like Calvin Kim was willing to 1-for-1 with the Perilous Vault, and he actually got a 2-for-1 out of it.
Yeah.
Is it 1.5-for-1 when you get to Scry?
Yeah.
Yeah, Ja was kind of a desperation Scry there. He left it on top at least.
And another Perilous Vault. Looks like Kim's got a handful of cards.
Monastery Mentor.
All right.
Capable of generating a lot of value. I mean, it's certainly a threat that Calvin Kim's going to have to deal with all by itself.
Well, we certainly saw that last round.
Yeah, I mean, he was willing to vault away a Rabble Master.
Yeah.
Certainly will be willing to vault away a Mentor. Not just yet, though. Only 3 left untapped after casting it.
Monastery Mentor also calls into question, not necessarily his decision to cast that God's Willing to Scry, so you had to Scry to find it, but definitely makes all those decisions about whether you're going to cycle through much more difficult. You have to think about them a lot more because you get extra value out of it.
I was going to dissolve.
No.
So Mentor gets dissolved.
Jeez.
Yeah, Calvin wants to untap with a Vault and a clear board. It does, in fact, get to. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, especially if your opponent is in that Desperation Scry mode.
Yeah.
They're threat light.
There's another Dissolve in his hand as well, so. All right. Flip him one of the Valor stances that he's got there.
Yeah, it is. He's got 2 main, 2 on the board. Seems like a reasonable way to line them up, but they're not exactly good in this matchup.
Yep, and that is the turn the corner moment there for Kim. It looked like he was already fairly well in control, but getting to cast an Ingenuity and fill your hand up.
Yeah.
All we're waiting for now is the eventual Pearl Lake Ancient to come down and start swinging in the game in a couple of turns.
Yeah, this deck is Pearl Lake. I was going to say Ugin. It's not clear if Pearl Lake is still the right answer.
Yeah.
I mean, there's Ugin, not actually a victory condition, but damn close.
Yeah.
I mean, it's certainly the one that cements control of the game.
Ugin is, I've cast the card multiple times, resolved it multiple times, I've ultimated it a few times, and it is everything it was built to be. Like, it's a very, very powerful Magic card. A lot more than I think a lot of people were necessarily giving it credit for being when it was first foiled.
Okay.
And it's actually really good, especially in matchups like this, where the ability to clear the board away gives you that extra edge to help you turn the corner against these decks.
For sure. All right. Bonde leads with an Elvish Mystic. Turn 2 Courser. Definitely a better start than we saw from him in game 1.
Yeah, now he's got all of the mana that he needs to start getting his stuff online. It looks like he's got an Eidolon and
I
Blossom
did see an Eidolon in his hand. Does he have the 4th land? I think he does.
Looks like it. So, all right, Chain of the Rocks. We'll see if you regret that decision soon. Going through the motions, accidentally revealing the top card of his deck when his Courser's gone. All right, looks like he does have that 4th land, but he's going to scare that stuff away. All right. So now he's set himself up. He's got the mana base. His opponent hasn't done anything yet. He hasn't hit his magic turn of 3 where he really starts vomiting things onto the table. So there's definitely a massive difference between being on the play and being on the draw in this matchup.
Yeah, if Chain to the Rocks hadn't taken out Courser, though, Michael would have gotten the untapped land off the top of his library.
Yep.
And played an Eidolon of Blossom. So the Chain to the Rocks actually did slow him down a little bit. And then the Rabble Master.
Yeah, serves double duty too, because getting rid of that Courser gets rid of a perfectly valid way to get rid of that Rabble Master that's in play now. So now Bonde's left with a bunch of creatures that can't really trade well for it. And
Did he not have an
pass
Eidolon?
the turn.
What's he leaving his mana untapped for?
Does he have the Murderous Cut?
Must have something.
Yeah, Murderous Cut. Okay. So cuts that down, saves himself an attacker and a massive attack from just the Rabble Master. The Constellation deck does not fear 1/1s. Doomwake Giant takes care of those pretty well. It looks like Salvatto's actually got a fairly reactive hand for the most part, although I would imagine that Hushwing Griff is going to see some serious action. It's actually really, really good in this matchup.
Commune flips over land, Eidolon of Blossoms, Courser, Vile Blight.
He goes
Takes
for
the Eidolon.
All right. It's just attempting to get the engine online.
Yeah. Presumably going to tap 4 to play it here.
I would imagine, especially knowing he's got the second one in his hand. I can't think of a reason not to. So.
Eidolon.
All right. Hushwing Griff. Yeah.
No triggers for you.
All right, no more drawed cards. That crit does so much work. Manages to stop all the triggers from the Eidolon, and even more important, it's got its own built-in protection from Doomwake Giant.
That's a big game.
That's a very big game in this matchup. Oh man, and a Sarkin means that he's got 4 points of flying, or 7 points of attacking flyers in play that Bonde can't deal with. He's got a 3-turn clock on his hands. Less if Salvatto's actually got a Stoke the Flames. He's got Stoke the Flames. Game's over next turn. All right, I will attack you with my 4-mana 2/2. All right, looks like Salvatto's going to go in for another 7 points of damage here. Can't see what he's got in his hand. Don't know if he's quite got the ability to finish it off right here, but Bond is not looking very good.
No, that Hushwing Griff, just all of his shenanigans are down.
Absolutely massive.
No Eidolon triggers, no Doomwake Giant triggers. That is essentially what his deck is built around.
Yep.
Like, he's added the sieges so that he can do that more often and faster and better.
Yep. And Bonde does have the mana available should he draw a Hornet Queen, which has the ability to turn things right back around. I mean,
Sure.
Sarkhan still does attack perfectly fine into the Hornet Queen and her many minions, but it
Takes a little while.
does give him some time, yeah. But he is going to need to find things quick, and taking this hit for 7 here is going to be very detrimental. Gaining the extra life was actually very, very important here because it puts him out of range of that Stoke the Flames. All right. Well, let's take a look. That is one of the hidden benefits also of Frontier Siege, is if you decide that you don't want to go with the mana side of it. If you happen to have the Hornet Queen and plenty of mana, it basically turns Hornet Queen into a
Kill 5
one-sided
things.
Wrath of God. Yeah. Incredibly powerful. Yeah. Let's take a look through Bonde's deck, try to figure out what exactly he needs. I mean, Ugin is another very powerful way to get out of the spot that he's in right now. 1, 2, 3, 4,
Does
5,
have
6, 7, 8. So he's got enough to cast it. If he's able to get that, minus it, and it would, if he minus it, you'd have to minus it for 5 to kill Sarkhan at that point. So
It's fine.
yeah, I'm 100% fine with this decision. And the best part is once everything goes away, the Chain of the Rock leaves, and he manages to end everything
gets his Courser
with
back.
his Courser back. So he's got some nice defensives.
Loses the Eidolon, but that's all right.
Yeah.
He's
got
rather
another one in
he's
his hand, I
effectively
believe.
trading Eidolon for Sarkhan.
Yeah. He doesn't look like he's too pleased. Bit of a shrug there as he motions towards Salvatto. And both these players have 3 wins. Bonde picked up his first draw last round against Costa. So very, very much in the hunt for those top 8 slots.
I saw Ugin come down at the end of that, blow away the board,
Oh, yeah?
including the City Sea Whip.
Oh, jeez.
I'm sorry, the Whip of Erebos.
Yeah. That's massive.
And it exiles. So like whatever
yeah.
creatures were there, they're exiled. They're
Yep.
not even in the graveyard for a future whip.
Yep. All right. There goes the 7-point attack. Bonde's down to, or 6-point attack, I'm sorry.
Yeah, there's half your life.
All right, one more turn. Let's see, what do you have? He opts not to get rid of anything.
Is it
He's got the
Ugin?
Chain to Rock in his hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
7, 8.
Yeah, you definitely should have chained the rock his, oh, okay, good.
Oh, just the psych out.
Yeah, all right. So Michael Bonde picks up his first loss of the day, falling to Luis Salvatto in his red-white mid-range deck. There's a lot of mid-range, so if matches are going to go like this for Bonde, he's not going to have a very fun remainder to his day.
Sure.
So. Personally, I would have loved to see an Ugin there just because it would have been really, really cool.
Are we still in game 1? We are still in game 1. Victory condition has been located.
All right. Now the fine art of turning sideways.
Infinite lands on both sides. Perilous Vault hanging out to deal with whatever.
That handful of burn over on Poutine's
Wow.
side. Well,
4,
2
8,
Stoke.
11, 14.
Yep.
It's actually closing in on almost enough.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's permission in Calvinton.
Oh, I can only imagine. All right. So Pearl Lake Ancient starts to do his thing. Valor's Stance is going to at least buy him one more turn.
Yeah,
So
John
good.
Boutin is doing his best to just accumulate a hand of, out of nowhere, burn you down.
Yeah, which
Doesn't seem like it's going to work.
no, and it's one of those things that, like the blue-white control decks with the Pearl Lake Ancient specifically, it
He
opts
just
for it.
lets-
Apparently, he's got another one in his hand, so
It's funny.
it never feels good
It's
when
also
you're.
got the Perilous Vault. but-
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a very good point too.
Yeah, he's going to
Yeah.
vault away the Chain to the Rocks.
Except,
A little bit surprised he values that more than picking up 3 lands and replaying.
yeah. Especially, I mean, there aren't too many things that between who's been doing very little for the past few turns, it looks like, could really do other than just launch a low to burn in his face. I know he's at 18, but
Right.
more never hurts. Oh, looks like this is going to accomplish that goal.
I thought I saw him put a spell toward the graveyard. Did he dissolve that? He dissolved
He
that.
dissolved it. Apparently he just wants to end the game. Although this does make it lethal next turn. So switching to start aiming burn at it to force it back and get rid of his game plan. I don't think there's any way you can do that. You just take the hit. End of turn, fire as much burn at your opponent as you possibly can, see what sticks, and then draw your card. Let's see if he does have Monastery Grandmaster in his deck or a sideboard. Doesn't look. Where is his list? There it is. So he's got Soulfire Grandmaster.
Stoke you. All right.
All right. Here goes the Great Burn Fest. Let's launch it. See what we got. Wonder if he's doing math now about the Grandmaster, seeing if he has enough to burn, return, and burn something.
I mean, I think he's definitely waiting to see, but he's counting to see if he needs to fire off more burn now, or whether he can just wait till after his next draw.
If he draws another Stoke the Flames, that's all right. So there's 3 down to 11. He's got another 7 points of burn in his hand, which means Stoke, which he would have enough mana to Stoke, and Mountain's not going to do it.
No.
All right.
And I can't imagine that Calvin Kim would have used his last dissolve on a Valorous Dance
Yeah.
when he can just pick up Pearl Lake.
Battle you. All right. Yeah, that's the last-ditch effort to.
Kill it? Take 4? Take 7?
Do you have any spell?
Yeah, seriously. Any spell triggers prowess.
Please give me a non-creature spell. Oh,
That'll do.
That's a reasonable one.
Okay.
All right. So it's like Calvin Kim's going to pick up the first game. Yeah, I actually like the team's deck a lot.
Yeah?
It is the very, very aggressive version of this deck. It's running Rabble Masters and Brimazes and Alicias and Monastery Mentors, a way to completely overrun people. And the Soulfire Grandmaster is actually really, really good against the mirror match and any of those other mid-rangey aggressive decks that lets you climb back from any life deficits that you might have gotten at some point, and it gives you that endgame inevitability that you need.
Okay.
Let's see what he's got in the sideboard.
4 God's
there.
Willing. Yeah.
Which again, like, very, very important to get those matchups.
And Chandras, but not Sieges.
Yes. So, because getting through to actually finish something off. Let's see. Chandra's. This is one of those situations. He's got the siege in his sideboard. No, it doesn't actually have him in his sideboard either. Yeah. Yeah. This is it's one of those matchups where Chandra's actually just a little worse because Hero's Downfall, and it gives it a like you have a target for Hero's Downfall in addition to other creatures that you got, but you can't downfall. Like there's no additional ways to get rid of the siege that don't get rid of Chandra already. I think it's counterspells is the only thing that the black counterspells, and then removing it once it's in play with the Vault and Ugin. He's got some sweet sideboard cards that are pretty strong in this matchup too. Ash Cloud Phoenix is one of those cards that has proven to be very, very strong against those control decks. Especially the ones that go 1-for-1 a lot, like this Black Blue control deck.
Right.
It's got the big wipers, but the ability to bring back that 1-for-1 is super important.
Yeah, that seems like the card he brings in.
Yeah, Wild Slash is nothing too tremendous. It's probably
Not for
against.
this matchup.
Yeah, it's very, very good if your opponent has I don't know, their own Soulfire Grandmasters, Jeskai Charms,
Yeah.
lots of stuff like that. So, and Kim is running basically the same thing. I do love that he's got the 2 grind clocks in his sideboard just in case he comes up against the Black Blue, which there are a reasonable number of Black Blue control decks in this. But he just gets to bring in so many more removal spells, like another 7 single target removal spells to just
3 Drown and Sorrow seems good here.
Yeah, agree completely.
4 Murderous Cut all in the sideboard.
Yeah. Looks like he's pulled away from. What are you going to put in? He's got 2 Crux of Fates, yes. He's gone for just more mass removal instead of the spot removal, because that is something that the blue-black control deck was kind of lacking previously, is its access to that widespread mass removal. Crux of Fate's a great new addition.
Yeah, you get 2 of those.
So,
What is he cutting for these murderous cuts? I mean, his main deck is already on 4 Downfall, 4 Bile Blight.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess Nullify?
Yeah, as you say, do you bring out like some of those counter spells? Like the counter spells are kind of big.
The drowns come in first, don't they?
The drowns definitely come in first. Cut. Is there anything that you've got to... What do you cut for cuts?
I mean, negate and disdainful stroke, maybe?
Yeah.
I think it's to the counters. He's got a negate, a disdainful stroke, and 3 nullifies in the main.
Yeah.
None of those seem great here.
No. They would be...
They're all okay.
And the fact that he's got Chandras instead of the Sieges actually matters as well for what cards you bring in, because you don't have as much need to keep those counter spells in to stop it as you do against Chandra, where you've got the additional Hero's Downfalls to kind of push through that.
Sure.
Yeah, this is... I mean, yeah, the Disdainful Stroke can probably come out. So you've got a few counter spells here and there, but yeah, it's definitely Drown in Sorrows first, Murderous Cut second, so... This is what Standard is going to look like relatively soon, I would imagine. This is a marquee matchup that I'm sure that you'll probably see over and over again as you move forward. Not sure if these are the exact confirmations of the decks that you're going to see, but
yeah, blue-black control, I mean, there don't seem to be a ton of choices in terms of how to build this.
No.
It's more like a numbers, right? How many of this, how many of that?
It's numbers. There are 2 or 3 big options. Like, what's your finisher? Are you going to go stick with Pearl Like Ancient?
Does that really matter, though? It's like there's these 2 slots in the deck that maybe Silumgar is good enough because you can keep it around when you Crux of Fate.
There are people who are running Silumgar in this tournament as well.
Yeah,
so, like,
maybe.
it is. What's your top end look like is one of the big questions. And the next big question is, like, what does your removal suite look like in terms of, like, how much are you devoting to mass removal? How much are you devoting to single target removal spells? Where do they end up? And it's a deck that actually gained deceptively like a reasonable amount of strength.
I think the game got more better than I was realizing. I was looking at Crux of Fate as, well, okay, this is a good card for the deck.
Yep.
But I'm not sure, I mean, the more I see Ugin, the better it looks in exactly this deck.
Yep.
Ugin just seems great.
Ugin is quite fantastic. There's a couple of additional like little corner case, like they seem corner case options to go in the deck. Silumgar is another card I've seen 1 or 2 people run around in people's decks. It's just really good against a lot of the token generating decks that exist in the format, like this red-white midrange deck.
Red-white, on the other hand, it feels like there's just a ton of options.
Oh my goodness, there's so many ways.
So many good 3-drops in particular. Then it's like, even at the 2-drop slot, do you want Soulfire Grandmaster? Do you want Valorous Stance? Do you want God's Willing?
And there's a bunch of different ways to build the deck too, because like the individual cards that you've chosen at those slots, they dictate the remainder of the cards that are going to go into your deck.
Are you a tokens deck? Are you a creatures deck?
Exactly.
Do you want Hushwing Glyphs?
Everyone wants Hushwing. Everyone should want Hushwing Glyphs.
Yeah, but there's too many 3-drops.
That's the thing.
You cutting the Rabble Master or the Monastery Mentor?
That's a very good question. And again, that's completely depends upon what the rest of your deck looks like too. Like, are you that go wide deck?
Yeah, John's theory, by the way, was no, I'm not cutting any of those. My 3-drops are 4 Mentor, 4 Rabble Master, 3 Brimaz.
Yeah.
I'll put a couple Hushwing Glyphs in the sideboard.
Yeah. And this is ironically, this is one of those matchups you don't need it in, but like with all of those whip decks that you saw running around prior to this in Standard, I was surprised that we didn't actually see it earlier out of people's sideboards. So. I think that Soulfire Grandmaster is going to do, it's actually going to do some serious work if it gets to stick around ever. Any sorts of card advantage. I mean, the thing is, you're not trying to play the long game against the blue-black control deck, but getting that extra little bit of pop and reach, plus having a nice aggressive body is a fairly good card in this matchup. Surprisingly, he passed on 3, passed on 4. We just talked about all the options that he had at his 3-drop slot. He just doesn't have any of them. His hand's full of Burn. Burn and God's Willing. The God's Willing plus Soulfire Grandmaster, if you can get a 5th land in play, is pretty sexy, assuming that Kim doesn't pull out something with like a Perilous Vault in order to actually wipe the board away.
I mean, you can also break that up with a Dissolve.
Yes.
Right, the Grandmaster, all right, well, goes for the kill. Here's the God's Willing.
You also break it up with a removal spell when he's only got 4 mana in play.
Right. Yeah, the Soulfire Grandmaster, 4 mana, assuming you've got the right hybrids, will allow you, it basically gives a spell buyback, I think is the right way to describe it. When
Yeah.
when the next spell resolves, put it in your hand instead of the graveyard.
Yeah.
But that only helps if the spell resolves.
Right.
If it's countered, it doesn't resolve.
So he scried and kept it on top. I'm actually interested to see what it is right now. It's like, hopefully it's something aggressive. There's no way he can keep additional burn in his hand like that. Although,
Yeah, these burn heavy draws they're okay.
yeah, okay. So
I feel like I'd rather have creatures. I'd rather have my curve, force him to show me the sweeper, and then I want to draw all the burn spells.
Yeah, so he drew a Monastery Mentor, which is a really good card to have. That Perilous Vault is obviously going to keep him from dropping it until he's got a little more to go on. He's sitting on, 2 Stokes and a Lightning Strike in hand, so assuming no counter spells, he's got 11 points of burn. So this game looks a lot like Kim's life total is theoretically a lot lower than it currently is. John Sar's going to take care of that, okay? All right.
So he could, in theory, recur, say, 1 mana spell here, but I don't
He
know
doesn't
that he
have
has
one.
anything.
Yeah. So take advantage of the opportunity while he's tapped out to get one of the bigger points of damage or sources of damage through, gain himself a little bit of life. Doubt his life total is actually relevant because once Kim starts taking it down, he's probably not going to lose the game from that point. All right. Kim sends it to the bottom. It does always feel good as a control player to use a single target removal spell to knock something off the board, knowing that you have a removal spell you've already paid most of your mana for on the table already.
So here is the Monastery Mentor. John has to force that vault activation.
Yeah. This is nice because he's got an extra 2 lands in play, which is going to give John an opportunity, likely to attempt. He might find a window when he can get a Lightning Strike through without having to worry about.
That doesn't
counter
look
magic.
like. Oh, okay. Drowned Star. I was going to say he's stepping below the point where he can activate the Perilous Vault, but yeah, Lightning Strike you. The token is going to die because it was being made. It's made higher on the stack than Drown in Sorrow.
Yep.
But the Mentor itself, because it has prowess, survives as a 3/3. Drown takes it down to a 1/1.
Perfect. Okay, that Chandra Pyromaster is another. That Perilous Vault is causing him to all sorts of decisions right now. Like,
Where's the monk token from the lightning? Oh, the strike died to the drown.
It died
of
to the
course.
drown.
We just talked about that.
but he's looking at me. He's at 8 life right now.
Yeah, he's going to get in for
battle in
2. Maybe you fire off. He's got what? 1 burn spell left in his hand.
He's got
1 lightning
2.
strike?
He's got a lightning strike. I believe he's got a lightning strike and a stoke in his hand. Yeah, he does.
Interesting. I think you do fire the lightning strike here.
I think you fire the lightning strike because
that
that gives you
prowess
another
trigger. It's effectively 4 damage because he's playing it this way.
But not to mention, it gives you a creature that allows you to cast
the
the stoke on Convoke. So, all right, knocks him down, and let's go for the game here, boys.
Stoke, 1 more prowess trigger.
All right, so
All right, no stoke. Still got the prowess trigger. Still gets the monk. So Mentor's what, a 4/4?
it is a 4/4, so it's going to get through, drop him to 1. There's a lightning strike still in his hand, and unless he's got another Drown in Sorrow, that Perilous Vault is going to cost a massive chunk of his mana. I don't know if he'll be able to stop the lightning strike on his next turn.
He has Chandra in his hand, not lightning strike.
Oh, that's a Chandra. Okay, that's right. Oh, he used the lightning strike. Gotcha. So there it is.
Attack with my guys. Chandra, you know what? Chandra can finish him off just as easily as lightning
There we
strike
go.
could.
Yep.
So we're going to game 3.
All right. Oh, that seemed like it was actually a fairly good spot for Kim to be in. Like he had a number of removal spells he was able to get rid of, but the fact that John had all of those burn spells and was able to keep his Monastery Mentor alive through that Drown in Sorrow.
Yeah,
is
no, I think
massive.
that when he went for the Drown in Sorrow instead of activating the Perilous Vault,
Yeah.
I mean, that line clearly didn't work out.
Yeah.
I mean, it did allow him to leave up a counterspell.
Yep.
Like he was able to, with 6 mana, he was able to go
Question is at that point.
Drown plus, I think it was a dissolve. But Yeah, he took a bunch of damage he wouldn't otherwise have taken, right?
Yeah. What are you saving the Perilous Vault for at that point, if not to get rid of that? Is it to get rid of...
Well, it isn't that he was saving the Perilous Vault, it's that he wanted to leave up Dissolve. So he was able to use the Dissolve to counter a Stoke the Flames.
That's fair.
So he saves 4 damage there by the way he played his mana. Maybe he breaks even, because what did he take from the Mentor? He took 4 or 5?
Ended up taking...
I think he took 5 from the
total,
Mentor.
yeah.
So even his line, he kind of got max punished, and was still almost broke even.
Yeah, it's actually really tough to tell, because like, it really depends on what he thinks in John's hand at that point.
Yeah.
Because...
It turns out it was a bunch of burn spells.
Yeah, which is the absolute wrong thing for it to be. Like,
Right.
If it was another creature, it definitely makes his line correct. If it was even one additional creature that he was planning on committing to the board, I think it makes his line correct.
Yeah.
Just because he's going to need that Perilous Vault in play to very likely wipe things away afterwards. But yeah, him being able to trigger that, that's
All right, well, here we are. We are in round 5 of the Super Sunday Series Finals. There'll be one more round of Standard after this, and then the players will be done for the day.
Yeah. Then it's an opportunity to do additional booster drafting. Yeah.
Yes, I believe there will be drafting. It will not be on stream.
We're going to refer to that as testing for tomorrow morning.
We got to make sure we know what we're talking about when we cover the draft tomorrow morning.
Oh, yeah.
We're working.
Yeah. It's a tough job, but somebody's got to do it, right?
Somebody's got to do it.
Thankfully, you are a kind soul willing to step up for the good of the coverage team, Randy. And we thank you for that.
No problem.
Yeah. This is a really sweet format to draft, too. I've had a lot of fun. You gotten to put too many reps in yourself so far?
Not yet.
Not yet?
The thing just went on sale yesterday. I'm not allowed to play the pre-release.
That's fair. That's fair. Then again, as big a hardcore draft fanatic as you are, it would not have surprised me if you're like the second you were able to get cards, you're like, all right, how many people want to join this queue? All right. Things are starting off. Looks like we see another... All right, there's the Soulfire Grandmaster, just as we saw last time. I mean, even serving as a 2-drop. Oh, it looks like he's got a Phoenix in his hand as well, so... And a Rabble Master. This is a nice curved out drop.
Is that no
John
third land
here.
for Calvin Kipp?
That is a no third land. Oh, man.
That's bad.
Red-white's going to do what it does.
Yeah, no, if there's any deck that needs to hit its land drops up to, 4, 5, 6 mana, Blue-Black Control needs that land more than anybody else in the format, I think.
It's playing like 25, 26 lands, isn't it?
Is that all? I think it's more.
Even more than that, yeah.
I'm used to Cuneo lists that are like 27, 28.
Let's see, 12, 28, 28, yeah.
All right. Brimaz does get countered.
29 even. All right, so
Third
we have
land,
the third land.
one turn behind schedule, and he held off the Brimaz, so
Yep.
not out of it yet.
No, but this is a nice follow-up. I mean, being able to play Ash Cloud Phoenix here and still have a Goblin Rabble Master in reserve is fairly strong. Although this does beg the question: is John going to play that Ash Cloud Phoenix into it? There's no reason not to, right?
Into a counterspell?
Yeah.
I mean, counterspell's the reason not to, but
Yeah.
I still think you play it. I mean, you just baited one counter.
Yeah. All right, so he's ripped consecutive lands off the top.
And here's the Vault. Needs one more to activate it.
All right. Vault, very, very strong card against that Ash Cloud
It's
Phoenix.
whacked for 6 here, though.
Yep.
Actually, 7 if you place the Rabble Master, which you do, right?
I think so.
I think so, too.
With another Rabble Master, with another Rabble Master in your hand, you know your opponent's going to tap out.
And mostly you know your opponent does not currently have the 5th land to activate Perilous Vault.
Correct. So
I don't think you would do this if Kim hadn't missed a land drop.
No.
But he did.
Yep.
And
All right. He's dropped down to 9. Let's see how things go.
facing lethal. I think it's lethal. Yeah, facing lethal.
And he passed
No
the
5th
turn.
land.
All right.
Instant speed removal or game over.
It's going to need to be Murderous Cut, too, isn't it? He's only got 1 swamp. So
Oh, geez, you're right.
he's got a Crux of Fate in his hand that I can see. Just can't quite get up the mana.
Yeah, you need 5, both.
Yep,
Yeah.
All right. That does it.
No 5th land. 5th land would have turned on Crux of Fate and Perilous Vault.
Yeah.
But sometimes you don't get to 5. And if that happens against red-white, you're probably going to get killed pretty quickly.
John's draw was very, very good this time. 2-drop into 3-drop into
was.
4-drop with some backup as well.